Castor is getting closer and closer to me sitting on him, so just gonna do a little bit more desensitizing and then start getting my leg over and putting a little bit of weight on here. So I'm just gonna kind of lean over him. Looks a little ridiculous because I'm a little too tall and my mounting block's not short enough. So I'm trying to like lean down and put my weight on him, but my legs are too long. So oh well, that's okay. He can look ridiculous, but I wanted to make sure he's cool with that weight. And then that's the beginning of getting the sit on. So getting to sit on him. So I'll put my leg over and I'll just kind of touch down for like a second, right here, click, and take it off. And he's trying to look at my foot and target it because he's worked on that in the past, so no big deal. But you've seen all the other videos coming up to this where I've had my feet on him, he's touched my feet, he's seen my feet, like I've moved them around, I've slid all over his back, he's felt my feet on his hindquarters, like all that stuff has been done first. So then I'm just going to do little tiny sits where all my weight is going to be on the mounting block. So right here, sit, click, and then I'll slide off and go ahead and retreat. So all my weight is sitting on that mounting block. So if he were to leave, I could slide off, um, and I could get off, and you kind of have to be somewhat athletic with this. If you're not, you might want to work on the fence. I find this more comfortable than doing it on the fence because I can just slide off. You might fall off. Like if he really bolted, yes, you could fall off. But the goal here is that you have all the foundation done so that when you get to this part, he's cool with all that. It's just one sit and you can build on it. So I prefer the mounting block. I feel better on the mounting block, but you can do it on the fence too. So that was all the first little session, was just those little tiny sits, and most of my weight's on the block. And it's going to stay like that. I'm just going to build up how long I stay on him. In that first clip, I probably should have had a helmet on. I do probably 90% of the time. So probably always a good idea to have one, because even if like he's a short horse and I've done all my homework, but he could just slide out from under me and I could smack my head on the ground or the mounting block or something. So it is a good idea to always have one on. So sometimes I'm just like, I'm very forgetful and I forget my helmet, and then I'm like, crap, well, I really wanted to do this, and so I do it real quick. But that's probably not the best of examples, but probably 95% of the time I have one. But I'm just going to review that. So same thing I did before. I'm just going to slide my leg over, 1, 2, click, and hop off. So that looks really good. I like that there's no body language change for him at all when I go to sit. 1, 2, click, take off. Perfect. I love that. He's kind of got his head cocked toward me, which he's seeing me out of that right eye, which I'm totally fine with. I think he's just looking for like when he's going to get more food. Perfectly fine with me. I like that he's maneuverable with the halter, and I like that I can have the halter just like draped over him and chill. And I do a little bit of different things, like right now I just have the halter on lead rope, so if I needed to grab him or something I can. But for some horses like Atlas, I probably wouldn't have one on, because if I grabbed him, which would be my instinct, it would scare him more. So I do this at Liberty, and I'll do this exercise at Liberty with Castor too later on. So it just kind of depends on your horse and what you feel comfortable with, and what they feel comfortable with. I love this body language here. Nice and relaxed, low headset, ears are still moving. It's perfect. Love that. So it's going to be a lot of repetition of just like 1 second, 2 seconds, getting up on and off the mounting block. He's cool with that. Sit on him for 2 seconds. Perfect. So if I go up the mounting block and he's got his head up and he's tense, he's telling me, yeah, I'm not comfortable with this. I shouldn't get on at that point. And do a little desensitizing here, but that's going to be your tell. So I go up the mounting block, he's totally fine, then I can go ahead and sit on him. So all those little puzzle pieces need to fit together. Everything goes in steps. We can't just skip things because I want to get on him today. Like, it's not going to be a good experience for him or you if you just push things. So, and I do a little bit of desensitizing in between, just kind of patting on him, moving around, just kind of being variable here. Very nice. A couple seconds there. Because that's what's going to happen when I actually am sitting on him and riding on him. I'm going to move around and make sounds. I'm going to pet on him, and I want him just ready for all those things. That looks fantastic. So this clip, I'm going to do a little bit of desensitizing to the sound of the lash. I guess not really a whip, but I wanted to make sure he had this, because in the next few videos, I will be desensitizing him to drive lines. And they're like, when you pull the line or a rope or a lash or whatever across the surcingle and across the pads, it makes like a weird sound. So I wanted to just do that and get that out of the way. So I went ahead and just tacked him up like I regularly do, just in protected contact, and then asked him to stand here and then just tried to kind of toss this lash over so that it makes some sound and kind of scares him a little bit. Not scares him a little bit, makes a scary sound that might scare him a little bit. It's clearly not, but um, I like, oh, there. He's like, oh, scared, a little bit of scared. And then as soon as it makes that sound, I'm clicking and feeding. So I'm just conditioning it to mean something. So he hears that sound, I click. So I didn't get it right there. I didn't get it to make the sound. Sometimes it's hard. And it was making a specific sound on the like nylon on the surcingle. So there. So I get it to make the sound. I'll click feed. Or you can have it make the sound and then feed. Make the sound, feed. It'll just be like you're conditioning a click, but you're not. You're conditioning to a different sound. And that's how I teach them to like get over their fears or be not fearful of new things like this, because once I put the drive lines on and, you know, if I'm steering or if I'm tossing them over, he might hear that, and I don't want that to happen while the drive lines are on, because he could spin around and get tangled up, and I'd rather just do that now. So you got to be proactive and planning ahead and making sure, like, thinking of all these things. So that's why I put this in here. It's super important. And I do this when I put the saddle on too. Like, I'll do the same exercise with the saddle because they need to know that those sounds are not a big deal. So with the saddle, I would do this exact same thing, and it'll make a different sound having the lash or rope or whatever come across the saddle. But I want to make sure that, you know, if I go to desensitize or if I'm moving around up there, whatever, that they're totally cool. And he looks fantastic here. He did it both sides. He got a little tight, but then he was fine and it wasn't a big deal. And he just kind of, now he thinks that that just means food. So that looks fantastic, and he stood well to get his tack off. It looks great. I'm really happy with all that, and I'm just gonna let him have a little minute to just kind of pet on him, hang out with him, and that's important for all horses, but especially these Mustangs. Get used to just being pet on, being rubbed on, and just have this part of his day.